on. Who cares? It's a Feed podcast brought to you by Inside Feed. James Frayne, Ben Travers, back for another week of Punish. Frayne, welcome. Welcome. Plenty to get through this week. How are you travelling?
Good, I'm good. How are you travelling,
Mate, excellent, Frayne. Thank you. Plenty to stick our teeth in tonight. We're going to whip through it. It's halftime at the cricket as we film this, so we're going to try and get back for the first ball of whoever's opening the bowling, Andrew Tye or I don't even know, Sean Abbott knocking some Indian over. Mate, first things first, we're going to start with a bit of Brandon Smith, the cheese action, being told by the Storm that he's not wanted, essentially, that he can shop around in 2022. Where do you think he ends up, if you know any intel, or if you've just got an opinion? And what do you think about the Storm letting him go?
No intel, but I look forward to the 10,000 Fox Sports articles that are going to be published, I reckon, over the next 6 months until he signs. I think every club will be linked with him. Storm have an embarrassment of riches at the in the number 9 position. Yeah, literally anyone's guess, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also insidefeed.com.au articles. In fact, there was one today, and we've actually set a new record for page views today on the website. So good segue. Appreciate it. That article was suggestive of the fact that maybe the Bulldogs might be the destination for Smith, just given they've got their 2 halfbacks off contract at the end of 2021. They've got a shitload of cash in the bank. So maybe it's the Canterbury. But as you said, every club will have a sniff. I think the manager dead set emailed every club and said, hey, he's available. So a big loss for the Storm. Diddums to them. They've got Harry Grant, who will probably be their hooker until about 2052 or whenever he retires. So, I think Canterbury. I think he'll be heading to Canterbury. I don't know whether they'll be able to afford both him and Addo Carr, but I'd be thinking I'd be taking him over Addo Carr just purely based on their position. So, and I think he's just a Bulldogs type of guy. He's tough. He's bloody, he's uncompromising. I think I could see him in the Canterbury jersey. So we'll go. I reckon
if he does go to Canterbury, then expect a couple of other maybe big signings on the back of it. I don't think he'll be going there if there's going to be sort of dud long-term halves pairings for the future or anything like that. So.
Yeah, well, he obviously enjoys winning premierships, so that'll be it'll be something he wants to do. The Wallabies, Frayne, they're done for the year. They're all sinking piss. It wasn't the greatest spectacle on Saturday night. We thought the Wallabies would win by 30. I said 13 plus. Either way, we thought it'd be a fairly big margin. They didn't even get really near putting a score on the Pumas. And what was it? A 16-all draw.
That's right. Shocking game. I don't want to relive too much of it in the memory. It was pretty disgusting, to be honest. The rain, refereeing, some of the decisions of the Wallabies, just the way how the game planned out.
Couple of yellow cards, or one red card, wasn't it, for Lucan? See, TMO Damon Murphy, very respected referee. I actually think Angus Gardner pulled the trigger a bit early on the Salakai Lotto red card. I reckon it was a head clash more than anything, which is reckless. But I don't think it was a red card. I think that was a yellow. Look, I was actually pretty comfortable with that side of the reffing. Angus Gardner did blow his whistle a lot. So it was just a shit show. Rain, as you said. But the Wallabies get a break. A reasonable campaign, 3 draws against one against the All Blacks and 2 against the Pumas. Reece Hodge had a chance to win the game at on all those, but it wasn't meant to be. But I'm not blaming Reece Hodge. I think he was, if anything, he was probably one of the standouts of the Tri Nations for the Wallabies. That said, I reckon there's plenty to be excited about moving forward. A couple of names that spring to mind in the young Wallabies. Back row, Swinton didn't get much time, but I think he made his mark on the world stage already. I think it was only 34 minutes before he got red carded. I think he's got good stocks. I'd be buying Lachie Swinton if he was traded on the ASX. Harry Wilson, of course, at number 8. And I love the centre pairing. And I think news today that James O'Connor is going to France next year. I don't think he's playing for the Reds, which will mean that Paisami and Patel will probably be the likely 12-13 for the Reds, allowing Hamish Stewart to maybe or likely play number 10. How do you see all that, front train?
Yeah, and Bryce Hegarty, if he's still around, very underrated player. He was a good number 10 as well. Yeah, I'm really excited to see Dave Rennie have a full uninterrupted preseason with the team, like potentially working with the Super Rugby coaches. As you said, bringing some of those good young stocks through, getting a few people back from injury and disrupted seasons and suspension like Swinton, and hopefully New Zealand continue to come back to the pack a little bit, and we can maybe win a Bledisloe.
Maybe. They did regress a little bit. I think we got a little bit better. And I agree with you. I think a full prep, no COVID, another domestic comp under their belt, I reckon there's plenty to like. I really hope that Tate McDermott gets more time at number 9 because I'm just not a fan of Jake Gordon. I think Nick White was okay. I think Tate finishing off the bench is a big tick for the Wallabies moving forward. So I hope that happens. What'd you make of the national anthem? That everyone's been talking about? Latrell Mitchell and Anthony Mundine have been crapping on about it for ages, and now they're still not happy. Are these blokes ever going to be happy, or should we change the words to the anthem? Frayne, put your political hat on.
Loaded question. Sticking my, don't want to stick my neck out too far. No, I think it was a good initiative from the Wallabies. I don't think it was talked about much beforehand. I think that it was maybe something that they just sort of agreed would be a good idea, and it was something that some of the players definitely took on board. It's always good to see them leading from the front, singing it loudly and proudly, as opposed to it being something that's dreamt up in sort of some boardroom and not getting rolled out. So I thought that was the best part of it all. I don't know, maybe there needs to be some more consultation with the Indigenous members of the community, for next time, but I don't know.
Maybe they need to talk to Chock. I think you're right. I think your comment regarding the boardroom dream is spot on. The players, I mean, Brandon Piangamosa was going as hard as anything. Everyone appeared to know the words. They'd obviously done their prep on it. I say hats off to them. I think it's fantastic. I can see it happening more and more. And the lady who sung it was phenomenal. So it was actually the highlight of the evening. We didn't know it at the time, but it was the highlight of the evening. We could have turned the TV off that night, right then rather, and we would have been happy. So well done to Rugby Australia showing some initiative, which is fucking something we haven't said for some time. Leaders of the pack in that regard, really well done. I liked it. One thing I didn't like, and that was Saturday night. Saturday afternoon, Frayne, I backed more fucking placings on the punt with the horses than I've ever cared to know. And they were really good odds, like $10, $8, $7. It was just an absolute shit show. I need to change my staking plan so that I'm backing horses to place as opposed to win all the time. Can you relate? I know you didn't have a good day on Saturday.
I can't relate because I think I was tearing most of my tickets up at about the 400. At least you got a little bit of value for money. You got a little bit of an elevated heart rate as they were coming into the finishing post.
I think I'd rather finish last than second, to be honest, because I'm not backing them. I'm not backing them each way. I'd rather finish fucking last, like go and get a beer earlier. But yeah, the last 3 weeks have just been like, I think there's been accumulatively, I did do some stats, but we'll talk about them on the Inside Feed Punters Club podcast. I reckon there's out of about 18 tips, there's about 12 placings and 2 winners. Like, it's giving me the absolute shits. But that's why God created racing every week. We'll be resilient and we'll keep going next week, Frayne. The big topics for this week really is just all about cricket. I don't think there's much else going on. First test team, Australia A took on India somewhere in Australia. I forget where, over the last couple of days. All the talk was about Will Pucovski and Joe Burns. They both failed. Pucovski actually got hit in the head today and I think has gone to hospital. Cameron Green has stood up and has scored runs and taken wickets. What happens with the Australian opening batsman or partnership right now with Warner injured? Pucovski might be under a cloud with some concussion potentially, but you think he'd be all right. Is it Pucovski and Burns?
I think it's Pucovski and Burns. I don't know if Pucovski will get cleared. It looked like a bad knockout. He's got a history of concussions. We saw Jadeja get hit in the head. He's out for the rest of the limited overs section of the tour. I think it'll be Burns and Pucovski just because there's a bit too much disruption otherwise. But if Pucovski was to be concussed, maybe then there's more shuffling. There was discussion tonight in the cricket. Warney was spruiking Matt Wade's chances of opening with, say, Joe Burns, and then you're into Labuschagne, Smith, etc. Cameron Green has to be there. He looks like he's Jux Callis 2.0. Like, he is a freak. I'm super excited to see him play. He could be a test player for the next 10, 15 years. And then I think the bowlers sort of picked themselves from there. Mitch Stark's got a little bit of a question mark, but he'll probably be there for the first one. He's got some personal issues, but I think he'll be there for the first test.
Yeah, and obviously Hazelwood, Cummins, and Lyon will be the rest of the bowlers there, you would presume. What was I going to say about not Bukowski? What was I going to say about? Burns, Bukowski. But Osman Khawaja, is he just no one likes him anymore, or he averages 40 in Test cricket?
Yeah, I know, but he's I don't know if Justin Langer likes him all that much. You saw the footage there on that documentary, that the test that they had last year. Couple of, not that they're ever going to show him properly dusting up in like a sanctioned Cricket Australia documentary or whatever. But I don't know. I just don't. He's certainly out of favour. He hasn't been mentioned by anyone, any of the sort of commentators or pundits, except for you, Trav.
Yeah, well, yeah, the most respected.
Oh, you might be there now.
I actually played behind him. I was in the golf group behind him the other day. Hits a long golf ball, so he's hitting them well.
Yeah,
nothing to do with playing cricket.
He looks good. He looks good when he's playing cricket. So I'd imagine he'd look good driving one.
Yeah, no, he hit a really good. Him and Matt Renshaw was playing too. Renshaw couldn't keep it on the fairway, but Khawaja could hit a good ball. Anyways, I thought he'd be a candidate to maybe break in case of emergency, break glass in case of emergency. Khawaja, I just think he's got the experience. I don't know why he's not being talked about. Interesting. Wade might be the guy. Actually, he might be. Warney might have the.
Khawaja didn't even get picked in. Khawaja didn't even get picked in that Australia A team, so you'd have to think
that makes sense actually. And the other one's Marcus Harris, but he hasn't. He's had his chance. I think he averages about 24 in Test cricket, and I know he's only played about 8 games. But righto. So if Bukowski's out, it'd be Burns, and for me, I'd pick Khawaja, but it'll be probably Matt Wade if Warney's got any say, which he probably does. That, or we actually had an article up on the website during the week that Michael Slater could make a comeback, or Matt Hayden, someone like that. Righto, last thing for the evening. We're going to keep it nice and short because we want to get back and watch the cricket, and it's cricket related. The Big Bash starts Thursday night. It will go from this Thursday till about August. What are you thinking in terms of a Big Bash preview for this year? Frayne, a lot of the international players, like we've got no AB de Villiers, we've got no Banton for the Heat. We are missing a bit of firepower this year, so I'm expecting it to get a bit stale sort of mid-January. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the internationals are certainly the sort of the cookies in the cookies and cream ice cream. They're the little bits that sort of excite you every now and then when they, you get a new kid from Afghanistan or Sri Lanka and they sort of wow you, or the next big product out of England. Saw Tom Curran today, isn't playing, which is another disappointment. He's a live wire. I don't know. I think it's going to be like we've seen in a lot of the other codes, the footy codes. There's going to be a few surprise packet gets thrown up, but then the sort of the quality teams with the quality back offices, quality coaching staff, probably going to rise to the top, like we saw with the Richmond Tigers, Melbourne Storm, all that sort of stuff. They're able to sort of chart a path through all this sort of stuff. So yeah, probably Perth Scorchers, considering they finish minor premiers just about every year, but then they get
I think we just became best friends.
Oh, right.
I think the Perth Scorchers are paying $6 on play up. I think they're an absolute, and I think you can get like $3.50 for them to make the final. So the reason I like the Scorchers, Frayne, I'm fully on you here, is they don't really have the international. Well, they've never really had the international firepower, and now they've lost Sean Marsh. I think he might have been gone last year, anyways. But I just think there'll be a lot of stability in their group because they haven't really got anyone that's going to be leaving for international duties. But I reckon they've got a lot of good bowlers and a lot of good all-rounders. Ashton Agar, Ashton Turner, Andrew Tye. really bowls well in the T20s. We've seen him do that for Australia. Mitch Marsh, everyone craps on Mitch Marsh, but I think a T20 cricketer, he's a very good cricketer. They're probably lacking a little bit of firepower with their batting. Fawad Ahmed, fantastic bowler. So I actually think the Scorchers, they're paying $6 on play up to win the whole Big Bash. I think they're $3.50 to make the final. Is a sensational bet. I would love I would love the Heat to win because Chris Lynn's scoring more hundreds than bloody Don Bradman. He scored 2 in one day the other day, Linny, if you saw that in club cricket in Brisbane. I mean, it's just fucking unbelievable. So I'd love the Heat, but every year the Heat seems like they're going to be there and they're going to do something, but it just doesn't eventuate. So I'm backing the Scorchers as well. I think they've got an excellent, and it'll be a roster and a stable roster that isn't going to be disrupted or interrupted by international duties.
They do have a ridiculous record in the 10 or something Big Bashes. They've been minor premiers like 5 or 6 times. Like it's something ridiculous like that.
I didn't even know that, but I love it.
They got that fortress over in the west. So yeah.
Is COVID? We are. Yeah, it is 350 for them to reach the final. Whew. This is good. We'll talk more about that on the Inside Feed Punters Club on Friday. That'll be published, and all your racing tips that'll finish 2nd and 3rd for the weekend. Frano, nothing else going on. I don't think there's anything else happening in the world of sport that we could really stick our teeth into at the moment. I think we're all just playing the waiting game
covered it all.
Yeah, the Big Bash. The tennis will be here soon, but delayed. And for NBA fans, the NBA starts just before Christmas, so there'll be plenty to digest there. Frano, we will see each other on Thursday for a recording of the Inside Feed Punters Club. I reckon I can feel a big week on the Punters Club this week. I think we should even so am I. I think we should maybe come up with a bit of a staking plan so you can get all our loyal listeners to turn $100 into a shitload so they can fill the little Christmas stocking. Anyways, we'll talk about that. Mate, appreciate your time. We'll see you on Thursday.